Are you living your best life as a salesperson or entrepreneur? Or do you find you're working all the time on this hamster wheel of life while stressed out and not financially free, which is the exact opposite of what you had signed up for, especially now in this global pandemic? If this is you, you are not alone. I found myself there in 2008 when I lost everything, including my health, and had to pivot working from home for the first time with no money. I rebuilt my life from scratch, juggling motherhood and marriage to get my life back and be recession and pandemic proof today. Now we live laptop lifestyles with our kids and are poised to travel the world together. How did we do it? Join me as I share my health and wealth and wisdom secrets, tips, tools, and expert interviews to equip you to be recession proof and live your best life. My name is Lois Kofi, and this is Healthy and Wealthy and Wise. Awesome. Well, happy Friday, everyone, and welcome back for another exciting episode of Healthy and Wealthy and Wise, your weekly dose of inspiration and education and health and wealth and wisdom tools and interviews with experts. My name is Lois Kofi. I'm a professional speaker and sales trainer, now turned podcaster, and I'm so excited to be introducing you guys today, my audience, and all of those that are tuning in maybe for the first time who've never heard about these guys. But I'm bringing forth my secret weapons that aren't so secret anymore. My two favorite monks, the Ashaya monks of the Bright Path, Samadhi and Bhakti. And before I turn over to you guys, I just want to give a quick shout out to how these guys have impacted my life through the tools that they teach. So about 4 years ago, I was looking for another spiritual mentor, another meditation practice, something, because I was on that hamster wheel as a salesperson, a mom, a wife, a BNI director. I mean, my gosh, I'm surprised I didn't pull my hair out and have a nervous breakdown with a lot of things going on. Okay. And so sure enough, I put it on my vision board. And I met Bhakti Ashaya at a networking event in April of 2016. And it was at that moment that I felt an immediate connection. Ooh, we have fans tuning in. Hey, Ann from Lincoln, Nebraska. Feel free if you're just tuning in, #live. And where are you tuning in from? And please share this on your fan pages, okay? So anyway, long story short, I took his 15-hour course that summer. And I immediately, in the first 3 hours, started feeling healing. I felt trauma like leaving my body. I was actually pretty tired that week. I slept deeper. But literally, like at the end of that week, and it was over a 5-day period, I started seeing instant growth in my business. There's a thing called inner peace, outer abundance. I believe that. I teach that to my clients and helping them manifest whatever they want. And if you don't have inner peace, it's hard to stay in the now. You're always living in the past or worried about the future, which is very common, especially during these difficult times called quarantine, COVID-19, whatever you want to call this year. And so I'm so grateful that I had that tool. And ever since then, I've just been manifesting amazing things along the way. My move to California, amazing marriage, multiple businesses, and even this podcast, I would give a nod to Bright Path Ascension meditation. It was for me, it was a way better experience than what I was doing prior. And I had been meditating, you guys, for about 10 years. So enough about me. I'd love for you two amazing monks to tell us, why did you find ascension and how has it impacted you? I'd love to hear your stories.
Okay, I'll go first. So I had been looking for a form of meditation for many years, like you, Lois. I had actually had cancer and knew that it was the thoughts I was thinking that had brought that into my life. I absolutely knew that. And so I needed to change the thoughts I was thinking so that it wouldn't come back. And I was teaching at the University of Nebraska at that time. And one of my graduate students told me on my birthday, which will be 24 years ago on Monday. Okay, it's going to be my birthday again. 24 years ago, she told me about this type of approach to meditation. And she said she was going to Casper, Wyoming the next weekend to take the course. And if I'd like to come with her, she would love the company. I have no idea why I said yes. No idea. I knew nothing about it. I didn't even know how much it cost. Nothing. I just said yes. I just said yes from my heart. And it totally changed my life, obviously, you know. And I had the same experience as you on that Friday evening, the first session. I just knew that I had finally found the approach to meditation that was going to work for me. I had previously had little glimpses, little moments of that still silent space. But then, of course, I would try to grab a hold of it, and that would be it. It would be gone. So with Ascension, I now had a tool to just take me back again to that space. And it was a lifesaver for me. And actually, 3 months later, I had resigned not only from my teaching position, but I was on boards of directors and all this stuff. I'd resigned everything. And I had gone to North Carolina, which was where our headquarters was at that time, to become a teacher. I knew it was the only thing in the world worth teaching for me. So a total life-changing weekend that I am so very grateful for. I still give thanks to Pat, my friend, every day for bringing me to this path.
That's awesome. And I don't believe there's any accidents. You're an amazing teacher. I'm so grateful to have you in my universe. And happy early birthday, by the way.
Thank you.
How about you, Bhakti? You know, you were my first teacher and introduction to this, and I loved your story. So that was one of the things that compelled me as a type A personality, workaholic type, to be like, just help me, I need your help.
Well, when I was 28, I mean, I didn't know what to do. I'd been married and divorced twice, had a son I couldn't support, fired from every job I ever had, and ended up running into meditation. And they said to do it every day. Well, I did it twice a day because of the situation I was in. And things changed and life was different. And fast forward 15 years, I'm living the American dream. But I just knew there had to be more to life than what I was experiencing. And through a bunch of synchronicity, a couple of years later, I ended up in front of this monk. And he said, "Oh, you're experiencing relative peace." Never heard of relative peace before. He said, "Well, we have something very simple. You don't have to change anything about your life, none of your habits, none of your beliefs, and you can experience that eternal peace anytime you wish, eyes open or eyes closed." Really? Well, I gave it a try, and that's been my experience. And all those I've introduced to it, like yourself, Lois, have that tool where they can experience that inner peace that's still silent place within, which is the one that we are, anytime they wish. Things change, life is different.
That's awesome. And you both have lived very powerful lives. We could probably, each of you need to write a book, because you've both been through so much. And I know that Ascension has been a huge part of that. Now, for someone who's listening, and this is why I always want to bring forth experts, you guys that are listening, that have wisdom, right? Today is actually the wisdom week of health, wealth, and wisdom. And so there's people out there. I was one of them for a long time because of my religious beliefs, my background, my upbringing. Meditation wasn't cool. Like, it was like wrong, and you shouldn't do it. And, you guys are even called monks, but you're not Buddhist, right? You're not affiliated with any religion or anything like that. So what do you say to people in that space, if we even have anybody out there today that's questioning if meditation is the real deal?
Well, meditation, to me, at least the type we teach, I think of it as praying without ceasing. So it is absolutely connecting us with God, and God is within. You know, if you read the Bible, you will see it refers many times to turn the attention inward, look inward. There is God. And that's what meditation is meant to do in its highest form, is to connect you with that. But you don't have to call it God. You can call it Allah. You can call it nature. You can call it anything you want. It is
Consciousness.
right, consciousness. It is that still silent space of infinite truth and wisdom. Speaking of wise, all that wisdom actually comes from that space, from that intuitive knowingness, not from up here. And you know, I was a university professor. I thought everything was about up here.
Yeah.
So for me to let go of that and trust what was coming from here was a big step, but it was an absolutely wonderful, freeing, awakening step.
I like that word, awakening. I can appreciate that. Bhakti, do you have anything else to add to that?
Yeah. I mean, it's just simply taking the 18-inch journey from your head to your heart, which is that still silent place, which, I mean, we're not separate from the underlying source of all reality, which is lie within each of us. And I mean, when I found out about meditation and started doing it, I mean, that became my avocation. But still, I learned in November one year, and then 20 some odd years ago. But in March or April the following spring, we had a first thunderstorm, and I was laying in bed, and it was no big deal, which typically wasn't the case. I was a Vietnam veteran, and loud lights and thunder and stuff, I had negative reaction. But I'd been meditating for 10 years or 15 years using other practices. That didn't disappear. You know, you talk about health. I mean, I passed kidney stones for 5 years, once or twice a year prior to learning how to ascend. I haven't passed one since. I mean, I didn't try to get rid of them. They just disappeared because of the stress that this practice automatically gets rid of. You don't have to try to do anything. It just goes. That allows you to live to who you truly are. Healthy,
That's awesome.
wealthy, and wise.
We do have, I'm going to go ahead and normally I don't always ask the audience has questions already. I think these are good questions, so I'm going to bring them forth right now. If anybody else has any questions, like Anne, please feel free to add. Where does this meditation practice come from? Can you share any of the origin to that? And I want to say how important this was to me too, because I don't have time to waste. I research everything before I do it. Even meeting you, Bhakti, I met you in April. I didn't do it my first course until July, and I had been meditating. I call it guided napping for 10 years. It wasn't meditation. It was just whole body relaxation, and I needed a nap, and it was a power nap, really. And when I found what you guys offered, I was like, whoa, dude, I could do this with my eyes open while I'm driving. I can do this while my kids are screaming and I want to strangle them, but now I don't anymore because of this practice, you know, so there's so much depth to it. But anyway, can you tell them about the origin of it and why it's so different?
Well, it's an ancient teaching, very ancient. My own sense is that it has been with humankind since the beginning of time. But it has not been well known because we as a species has not been ready for it. Now we are. So it was actually brought out into public life again from the monks in around 1990. That's when the teacher that I refer to as MSI, who was the original teacher of the Ashayas in this lifetime, he brought it to the United States after he had gone to the Himalayas to receive it from the monks there. And as I said, it's always been around. So it's not like anybody created this. And actually, one of the things that I have marveled at is the underlying wisdom of this entire teaching. I mean, the attitudes that we teach are designed so beautifully. The way that they bring the left and right hemispheres together into that place of still, silent coherency, so that we slip beyond all of this chatter into that truth of who we are. And that's not something that anyone could create from here. You can't, I forget who said it, but someone said you can't heal a problem from the level of the mind in which it was created. So, yeah. So, I mean, our mind has created the problems that we live with today, all of us worldwide, individually and collectively. So to move beyond those problems, we have to have something that goes beyond the mind. And that's exactly what this teaching does. I'm so grateful every day for the fact that it came into being again, if you will, in my life, that I was here to see this.
To think is to create, what you're talking about. Napoleon Hill, Think and Grow Rich. To think is to create. Yeah, wherever you are in your life right now, that's why I was in that space and you guys were in the spaces you were in, is because if you don't like what's going on outside, you gotta look within, right? Whatever's going on inside is your mirror, your reflection. So if you're pissed off at the world, guess what? Gotta look inside to figure that one out. How about you, Bhakti? Do you have anything else to add? And then Anne had another good question.
Yeah, it's real simple. We can reflect on what's going on the outside and identify with that and live out there, or we can live from within, from all perfection. The kingdom of heaven is within, and regardless of what's going on outside, still be at peace. Peace is a choice. We can have pain, but suffering is a choice. I mean, there's a choice in each moment of just being still and just watching and being that who we truly are. And like somebody was saying, it's just taking that 18-inch journey and circumventing all the mental constructs of the mind and resting in that still silent place within with the ascension attitudes, which basically dissolve all the root stresses in modern day life. I mean, we're born enlightened. It's just a matter of dissolving the barriers that keep us from recognizing that.
Yeah, we get in our own way, don't we? That's.
I mean, I've been with my two grandchildren when they're 18 months. I mean, they're fully alive. They have no concerns about anything. Fully awake. But then it's, by the time we're adults, we've created this ego, which is what we identify with, and that's who we think we are.
Yeah, one of my favorite movies is Under the Tuscan Sun. I don't know if you've seen it, but there's this a quote in there about never lose your childlike innocence. Yeah. And it's not easy. The older we get, or at least for me in my experience, the older I get, man, I really gotta work. However, ascension has really helped with that tremendously. So someone asked, do I have to move to a cave to do this meditation?
I'm in my cave right now. It's a nice place.
A Bhakti cave.
Well, wherever you're at's perfect. Wherever you're at's perfect.
Absolutely.
Well, you can do it eyes open and eyes closed. Maybe because to me that was a foreign concept. Is that legal? Am I gonna? Is that what? I don't understand that. And we can't. I don't know how much you want to share about the practice today, but ultimately, most meditation, I always thought I had to be laying down on my bed, door closed, lights out. So I think that's even what Anne is referring to also. And yours is so different.
Yeah. That there's three basic things. Number one is comfort. Number two is comfort. And of course, number three is comfort. Be comfortable. Don't stress the body out. But if
it won't help.
But if you're ascending while you're driving, make sure you're doing it eyes open and not eyes closed.
That's not considered distracted driving, by the way.
Yeah. No, actually, if you're ascending with your eyes open when you're driving, you are more present because the ascension attitudes bring you into this moment. I can remember before I learned to ascend, I would be driving from my home to the university. I'd pull into the university parking lot, and all of a sudden it would hit me. How did I get here? I had no memory whatsoever because I was so busy up here planning the whole day out, which of course never worked out the way I planned it. So, yeah.
Yeah, it's being just in this moment, just this moment, since that's all there is.
We've lost you.
Sorry about that. I held it myself on mute just in case background noise. So thank you for that. Yeah. So what I was about to get into is something that you said earlier, Samadhi, that got to the root cause of my trauma. And the biggest reason I find, and you guys can maybe add to this, is when people go through trauma, pain, as you were calling it earlier, suffering, right? We hold on to that in the cells, in our brain, in our being, right? Like physically. I mean, you talked about cancer and manifesting potentially. I'm not saying I'm a doctor. I don't know all the ins and outs of cancer, but you even said that you likely manifested that in your body because of stress, external events, things, people, places, and you were holding on to it in your body, and it created an acidic environment, or whatever. I'm saying things that you can please affirm or deny. But when I went through that course, like, I was exhausted for a little bit, and this isn't not everybody has this. Everybody has a different. But you even said it was like I was healing my trauma, like my body was like healing itself. Can you speak more to that, or the how you said the two hemispheres of the brain come together and why that is so?
Yeah. So I mentioned that I had had cancer, and that was probably because of the stressful life I was living and the very negative thoughts I was feeding myself. I was a psychology professor, and yet I didn't know how. It's funny, isn't it, Bhakti? I didn't know how to take care of myself. And I was a single mom. It was just such a stressful time for me. And once I was diagnosed, I knew that I had to start doing things differently. And this meditation totally changed everything. When I learned I was on so many medications, I was very, very deeply depressed. I was anxious. I couldn't sleep. I had all kinds of issues. And within 3 months, I was off of all medication. And I look back at who I was when I learned to ascend, and I feel such compassion for that woman, because I know at that time I was doing the best I knew how to do, even though it was not working, But once I learned to ascend, all of that just started to dissolve away. In 3 months, as I said, off all medication, able to sleep through the night. If I woke up in the middle of the night, I just started ascending, and wham, I'd be right back to sleep, because ascension will always give us what we need. So if you have a sleep disorder, this is perfect. It will help you sleep. If you have a lot of anxiety, this will help get rid of that anxiety because it brings you into this moment. Anxiety is about the future. What's going to happen? How am I going to deal with this? But if you're just living right here, right now, there is no anxiety in that. So whatever the issues going on in the body, whether they're physical or emotional, ascension begins healing all of them immediately. Did I
That's
answer
awesome.
your question?
It was perfect. I mean, we could go on and on for hours, and I don't know if Bhakti, if you have anything to add, and then I wanted to talk about my Henry testimonial. But did you have anything else to add to that?
I'd love to hear about Henry. I want a Henry update. I love that.
So for those of you that don't know, my son was, when I was carrying him myself, I was very toxic. I was drinking lots of coffee. I had a very toxic body. This was when I was doing that other meditation back in the day, and I was going through a lot of loss and trauma. And in that journey, you do in utero, you do pass on, some of that to your unborn child, and so in those first few years, first 5 years really of my son's life, he ended up, you get that call from the principal's office or the person in the daycare who's like, come in, we're concerned, about your son. And I'm like, no, he's just working through some stuff. They wanted to put a label on him, and I'm not dissing on labels or anything like that. I won't even say what they were asking and assuming he was, which would have led to medications and all this other stuff, right? And I said, you know what? No, we're going to look for something else. We're going to find a more natural solution. And so when I met Bhakti, that would have been 2016. So yeah, Henry was 6 years old. And so we brought Henry to see Bhakti, and he started obviously a truncated version of ascension for him. And, that fall, he would have gone into, I think, first grade, because we still got the call when he was in kindergarten. It was like a yearly thing. We didn't get any more calls. We didn't get any more, maybe he should go into a special class or, all of this kind of stuff. And he's just a really bright, energetic boy who had to find a way to work that energy out. Would you agree, Bhakti? I mean, that's what you saw and what you experienced of Henry.
Yeah. I mean, real exciting, really uptight. Driven, but a lot of angst.
Probably like his mother. Yeah.
Pardon me?
Like his mom.
Yeah. Apple tree.
Can I just say that when I met Henry, he came for our vision boarding thing at the end of the year. And I am not alone in this. I think all of the adults in the room were totally amazed by Henry. Because when he described his vision board, he went into more depth and more feeling than I think any of us had. It was beautiful just listening to him speak. And there was no way I would ever put any kind of a negative label on him at all. He is one truly amazing boy, truly.
Henry heard us say his name, so he was asking if we were talking about him. So maybe he'll come up and say hello. But thank you. So my point is to you guys that are listening, we're sharing these stories because ascension, doesn't know boundaries of age. So it's never too late. And in some ways, I suppose you probably wouldn't need the babies to come to the class. But, there's so much validity to starting at a younger age, too. I mean, gosh, where would I have been if I had ascension when I was 7 years old, right?
What about Henry's tests?
Oh, he's in the talented and gifted, and he's brilliant. So it's a lot of that. Again, what I always want to give tools to parents too, because I know what it's like when you're a salesperson, entrepreneur, and business owner, and your kids. You have an extension of yourself that's struggling. I mean, that takes headspace, that takes energy. It can take up your time, your money, your finances. So that's why I wanted to bring that story up. Anne had a great question, and this is kind of a two-pronged question, however you guys want to ask it. How do you know if it's working? Meaning, you could say, how do you know if someone doesn't want to do ascension, or they don't want to check out what you guys have to offer, which is now easily accessible on the World Wide Web thanks to COVID, the silver lining, right?
Yeah.
Normally before you had to go to in-person classes and all that kind of stuff. But now it's accessible. But if someone has been doing meditation, but they're still not is it working? Do you have any answer to that? How does anybody know that meditation is really working for them?
Well, the simple thing I look at is results. Having been in the corporate world, and there was a survey done 3 or 4 years ago, or whatever it was, of 1,000 people globally that have been doing the practice for a year, and 97% of them had more joy, peace, and happiness in their life, and 95% had a greater sense of purpose in their life. And we did a similar survey in 2017, and 85% had more joy, peace, and happiness in their life after 5 weeks.
Wow.
Yeah, it's measurement.
Yeah, and I would also say that it's best to ask the people who are around you every day, because you may not see the changes in yourself, but the people close to you will. So it's hard sometimes for us to recognize if we've actually changed or not. So between what Bhakti said, look at where you are at in terms of peace and joy. And then also look at what other people are reflecting back to you. I remember being in what we call an advanced meeting once. And this one person shared that he didn't really think that he had changed very much. And his wife was there also. And she said, "What do you mean you've stopped smoking? It's like, oh, right. We tend to forget the ways we have changed and improved our lives. But someone close to us will see that."
Well, and here's a cool, fun, another story. I'm going to just throw this out there because there is a lot of people with stress right now because of COVID. Maybe they've lost their job. Maybe, there's all these different things, right? And there's a certain percentage that are staying in that victim mode and not in the stillness, right? And then there's the other side of it. For me, I was like, oh, no problem, just pivot and use my ascension tools to get me to go at a higher level of conscious and be the best version of myself instead of freaking out all the time like I used to. And I know when I changed, before ascension, I attracted, you talk about other people are your mirror, right? I had 2 really toxic, negative people in my life that year before ascension, which was why I was like, oh my God, I need help. What's going on? I need a new spiritual mentor. I need something. I just intuitively knew that. And then literally that next year, that's why my business catapulted, because you are the sum of those 5 closest people around you, but it all starts from within. And I started attracting in amazing business partners and, oh, by the way, amazing opportunities. And so if anybody's listening, if your meditation isn't doing that, because again, I was meditating before and I was still attracting crazy. So just be aware. Just be aware, right? Be conscious.
Right.
I got one more question. Oh, go ahead.
I just want to clarify something you said earlier, Lois. We are not actually teaching the meditation online. We are doing support calls for people who haven't learned to ascend. So we're giving them some simple tools that help them live more in the present moment. But because this teaching is a teaching that's shared heart to heart, and so we really need to be in physical proximity to the person that is receiving it.
Awesome. Thank you for that. Yes. So I didn't mean to misspeak. So there's teachers all over the country, all over the world. And if anybody's interested, I'm just going to put this up here right now. Every Saturday at 10 a.m., you guys have Pacific Standard Time, right? You guys have an online, just like a info session, or can you explain more what that is?
It's called Live in Peace Now. And it is just a couple of very simple tools that allow you to be here, to be present in this moment. So they're very simple. And I mean, can I just do one thing really quick right now?
Yeah.
If you just bring all of your attention to what I am saying without any need for commentary about it, any need to even formulate a question about what I'm saying, but just bring all of your attention to the sound of my voice now. In doing that simple thing, you are present in this moment. And in this moment, there is peace. There is stillness. There is space. And in that is the truth of who you are. So we go into much more detail in that in the talks on Saturday morning. But basically, it's about being present to now.
Amen. Yeah, no, that's great. And I just put your email address here. So if anybody has any questions, obviously you can also reach out to me. I know this is my intention is to become a teacher with my husband in the next 15 years. You know, we're figuring all that out. But until then, Bhakti and Samadhi are carrying the torch, and you guys know teachers all over the world that and they can come and attend your free class on Saturday at 10 a.m.
Yes.
I know Anne had one more question, and then we do want to wrap it up for sake of time. I can't seem to stop my thoughts. Will that change?
She's already heard it from me, so why don't you answer it, Bhakti?
Oh, yeah. I mean, thoughts are thoughts. Thoughts are just moving through awareness and become aware of them. Typically, we think they're our thoughts, but they're just thoughts. And one of the exercises on Saturday, I'm sure, Samadhi, on that course, you'll be able to experience that shift, that thoughts are objective to who you are. Matter of fact, everything's objective to who you are, since all you are is that still silent place within, which is not separate from the underlying source of all reality.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Thank you guys so much for those questions.
Can
Go ahead.
Just add one thing? So you don't need to fight. You know, we believe that we have to somehow get rid of those thoughts. We don't. It's just to come back to now. Here's the thought. Oh, look at it. It goes. Thoughts come and thoughts go. Emotions come, emotions go. Sensations come, sensations go. Just let them do that. We don't have to fight with them. We certainly don't have to try to stop them. As Bhakti said, they are not even ours. Just let them come, let them go, and always rest back into now. That's all.
That's awesome. Yeah. And I like to say, I loved it when I heard in one of our meditation classes, you know, they're like clouds in the sky.
Right.
Just passing by. And if you label the cloud or if you judge it, right, then that's when you're like starting to create that inner conflict, which can create outer angst and suffering. And that's why people don't have the money that they think they should have, or they don't have the career or the relationship or whatever it is that brings them ideal wisdom and passion and all that stuff about life. Well, I know we could go on for hours. I would like to close it out with my favorite question, and I'd like both of you to answer. 1 minute each, or however you want to do it. We got probably about 6 minutes left total. Then I do have to run to another meeting. When you hear the phrase healthy and wealthy and wise, because that's the name of this podcast, and it's always my goal to bring amazing people in like yourselves who have different perspectives. And I believe we all are one, we're all connected, we all have great ideas and reflect on things differently. I'd love to hear your reflection on that phrase, healthy and wealthy and wise. And we'll go ladies first. How about that, Samani?
Okay. So I already shared a little bit about the healthy part. I mean, 24 years ago, the person I was, you would not recognize me as being that person. So my health is entirely changed. I feel younger than I felt 24 years ago. Wealth is about the quality of life that you're living, to me, as much as it is about your financial status. And I could not love my life any more than I do. And it's not anything that I have tried to make happen. It is just being present, and in that presence, things come. And when you're here and you notice something is coming to you, you can choose for it. Whereas before I was like this, searching. What do I do? Where do I go? How do I create wealth? It didn't work. But now I have everything I could ever want. Wise, I think I mentioned before that to me, true wisdom is intuitive. It's coming, I think of it as coming from the heart, but it's coming from that still silent space of absolute infinite wisdom that resides within us. And again, by just listening to that, being attentive to that, anything that you're needing to do, anything that you're needing to know, it's there. No effort. Life becomes so effortless with this.
I call it being in the flow. Being in the flow.
Yeah.
I lost that in my 30s, becoming a mom and going through homelessness and going through, some really traumatic things.
Yeah.
And it's not easy. It's almost impossible to get back to center without something like this. So appreciate you. Yeah. How about you, Bhakti? What is your explanation of healthy and wealthy and wise?
Well, from a healthy standpoint, I mean, my blood work is better than it was over 20 years ago. And also, if a person does ascension, science shows that after the first year, the chronological age decreases 7 years.
Woohoo!
And after the second year, it decreases an additional 4. And that's all the stats that they have on it. So, I mean, it's just naturally going to be healthier. And as far as wealth is concerned, I mean, 6 months after Lois learned, she did so well that the company she was with bought her a brand new Mercedes. And it hasn't stopped since. And I have many stories like that from other people. As far as wise is concerned, all knowledge exists. And it's all there. And that's still silent place within. And it's my experience and part of the human condition that whatever we focus on, we manifest more in our life. And we can focus on anything on the outside we feel like, or we can focus on that still silent place within, and that'll expand in all areas of our life. And that's wise to do that. It's pretty healthy too.
That was perfect. Well, thank you guys so much for all that you've shared today. Please, guys, reach out to them take them up on that free every Saturday opportunity. Please reach out to me if you have any other questions or want me to connect you with Bhakti or Samadhi. We're here for you in building your ultimate best self, especially during 2020 and COVID-19 and all that is happening in and around our world. Thank you again for tuning in. Tune in next Friday, and we'll look forward to having more experts and more wisdom shared. Thank you, guys. We love you. Until next time, here's to your health, your wealth, and your wisdom. Bye-bye for now. Hey, guys. Thank you so much for listening to this episode. If you enjoyed this, please subscribe, refer a friend, and please drop me a rating or a review. If you do that, I'll reward you with a free 20-minute free coaching session on crafting your journey to your best self. Reach out to me at lois@loiscoffey.com to claim your 20-minute slot. Until next time, be healthy, wealthy, and wise.